Talking Middle Tennessee, it's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is, as I look outside, a beautiful Tuesday in Nashville, Tennessee. I just got some news a minute ago that put a smile on my face. My buddy Paul Kennedy from down in Tampa, Florida, sent me this picture of a classmate of mine from my Vanderbilt days, Tony Neely, enshrined in the College Sports Communicators Hall of Fame last night in Orlando. I'm going to put this up close there. You can see the picture. Tony, I know you're not watching since you live in Lexington, but congratulations. That's good stuff right there.
Well earned.
Yeah. Been at the University of Kentucky for like 30 years. Coach Newton hired him from his days at Vandy. You want a good Tony Neely story?
Let's hear it.
Well, first, I guess we should say hello to Kelly Holcomb, who is in Murfreesboro. Kelly, how are you?
Yeah, let's just leave me on hold for 40 minutes. It's no big deal.
Right. So you want the story?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, so years ago, Tony challenged Coach Newton, who had been putting out this line of bull about how the Christmas tournament, they would have, at the time, I think it was called the VIT, and it was a 4-team tournament. And Coach Newton used to always talk about how it was a blind draw. And Tony went to Coach Newton in a much more respectful way than I would and said, I don't think it's a blind draw. One of the beauties of Coach Newton was that he would take something you would say, and instead of saying, how dare you call me a liar, would just file it away and then use it against you later. So like a month, 6 weeks later, Coach Newton calls Tony into the office. And Coach Newton's longtime assistant, John Bostic, is standing there. And Coach Newton says, Tony, today we will have the blind draw for the Music City Invitational. And Coach Bostic will draw the names out of the hat, and you will witness the event. So Coach Bostic reaches into a cup, pulls out the name Iowa State. Coach Newton goes, Iowa State, pretty darn good team. I don't think so. Now there are two little pieces of paper in the cup. Next one he draws is like Dartmouth. And he goes, Dartmouth. He goes, full court pressure, really get after you, got a kid from Nashville. I don't think so. Well, there's only one name left. Coach Bostic reaches in, and it's Columbia University. And Coach Newton goes, Columbia. That's our first round opponent. And herein ends today's blind draw. And he turns to Tony. He says, Tony, do you have any questions? And Tony goes, no, I think I fully understand.
That's funny right there. That's good stuff. That's how all that stuff happens, man. It's a blind draw, but
absolutely.
Yeah, no thanks.
But there's a little coach's prerogative in all of it. So, okay, storytelling is over. If you're wondering why I'm wearing a coat, I spoke today. The Chamber of Commerce has what's called Intro Nashville, where a group of people, for the most part, who are new to the city, find out things. And it was really a fun deal. Sean Henry was part of the panel. I was the moderator. Kelly, I'm sorry you couldn't have been there.
Yeah, me too.
Wow.
That falls under a category, but I'm not going to say what the category is, George.
I think Billy wants you to.
No, I tell you what, man, you do a pretty good job at that, though, and you've got that deal that we do with the National Football Foundation, you have trimmed that up.
We
get in there and we roll. We're not letting anybody speak. And when we had it on Sunday this past year, it was really good.
So one year, Billy, Kelly's role is to take the almost 70 high school recipients of award, and each one of them gets an award. And I call out James John Doe Stratford, and the person comes up there and Kelly shakes their hand, and Steve Hutcheson, the former NFL Hall of Famer, is up there as well. Well, I butchered a name one year. And when it's time to turn it to Kelly looks at me and goes, "What the hell are we doing?" It's always
he does good with that, though, Billy. You'd be proud of him.
It's always good to have Kelly on campus.
Yes, always. I liven it up, that's for sure.
Oh, you absolutely liven it up. There's no doubt about that. Billy, do you have an update of any substance whatsoever?
I do. We got a good one today.
Hold on. But do we have a new graphic?
Yeah. X golf.
Wow. So you expended the time to do that?
I did.
They sent it to him. They sent it to him, George.
No, this was a lot of hard work into this.
It was. What was the hard work about, Billy?
Took a lot of time.
Yeah, they sent it over on a link.
I had to take the time out of my busy schedule.
Okay, over under 5 minutes?
Oh, over.
Over?
Yeah.
Would you screw it up a couple of times?
No, just very meticulous in making that.
You're meticulous? Billy, save that, man. Every time we show up at a function, you've always missed something. You've always forgotten something. The last time we showed up, you forgot your clubs and you're supposed to play golf, Hoss.
Oh, that is true.
In theory, I wasn't even on the list, so I technically wasn't supposed to.
No, you were on the list.
No, I wasn't.
Well, they said you weren't, but George put you on the list. And then when we had another event at the National Football Foundation, we were going to do an interview there, and you forgot a microphone. Don't say you're meticulous, homie.
I'd like to see you set up all this equipment, Kelly. Just one
That's
time.
not my job. I wasn't asked to do that. I didn't study that at Ave Maria, okay? I didn't do that.
Well, we see Kelly's on one today.
Well, I like it.
The update is brought to you by
I hope others are.
X Golf. Step into the future of golf with X Golf. Experience the world's most accurate golf simulator and elevate your game like never before. Book your tee time now at playxgolf.com and go check out their new location at 209 South Royal Oaks in Franklin. All right, we're starting it off with some college baseball. Murray State knocks off Duke 5-4 last night. The Racers are headed to Omaha for the first time in school history. They are the fourth ever number 4 seed to make it to Omaha. And just for reference, their stadium, I'm showing on the podcast right now, holds 800 people. I think the Hog Pen holds more.
Okay, so it's not Truist Park.
No.
Show it again.
And I've told y'all this before because I've seen it in person many times, but the scoreboard back there was from 1964.
Wow. So perhaps reaching the College World Series, maybe they'll pump a little more moolah.
I'm certainly hoping so. Good gracious.
But think about it. I mean, I don't know what the number in basketball, the number of D1 schools that are out there is like 360 now. It's insane. I don't think the number is as big in baseball, but it's probably 150 at least. And they have whittled it down to being one of the 8 best. That's a pretty cool accomplishment. Really
Absolutely. How bad do y'all think that the Duke kids, they were feeling it yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably don't feel great right now.
No.
Their head coach, Chris Pollard, is actually headed off to Virginia, too. So just to make matters worse for the Blue Devil thing.
Do you think their players knew it before they took the field last night? That kind of stuff gets out there.
Yeah, that's
hearing rumors.
Yeah. Murray State's head coach, Dan Skirka, literally cuts the grass for their baseball program still. So,
by the way, he should be in line for something pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe old Duke.
Maybe Duke snatches him up.
Maybe Duke needs to think him over.
Here is the bracket for the College World Series. It kicks off Friday at 1 o'clock local time. Coastal Carolina will take on Arizona. And then at 6 o'clock, Oregon State and Louisville will go at it. And then the Saturday games at 1, UCLA and Murray State. And then Saturday night, Arkansas and LSU will do battle. I think that's going to be a fun one.
Oh, my God, yes.
In Omaha. So that's what we've got for the bracket. Just a look at the how spread out this is. The SEC has 2 teams. The ACC has 1. The Big 12 has 1. The Big 10 has 1. The Sun Belt has a team in. The Pac-12 has a team in. And the Missouri Valley has a team in. This is as diverse an Omaha field as we've seen in a long time.
When do you think the last time the Valley got one?
I don't think ever.
To
I don't think they ever have.
You think this is the first?
I'm almost positive this is the first time.
Wow.
So it's anybody's game. I mean, obviously Arkansas is the favorite right now at plus 195 to win it all. LSU, the second best odds at plus 230. Coastal Carolina is up there as well at plus 600. Oregon State plus 650. I think there's some good value with Coastal Carolina there at plus 600. And they're on the other side of the bracket. If you look, they're on the opposite side as Arkansas and LSU. But should be interesting. It all gets going on Friday. In college football, some tough news here. Hopefully Deion Sanders is okay. Colorado head coach has been ill and out of the office recently. He's been at his house in Texas dealing with an unspecified health issue as summer workouts began last week. His timetable is unknown. He's dealt with health issues before. Back in 2022, he had 2 toes on his left foot amputated because of blood clots. And then in 2023, he had a procedure to relieve clots in both of his legs and missed Pac-12 Media Day. So
wow,
hopefully he's okay.
Yeah.
Because you want to see him this college football season on the sideline for Colorado. Speaking of college football, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but Lee Corso's final college game day will be in Columbus, Ohio, for the Week 1 matchup between Texas and Ohio State.
So yesterday, ESPN announced that Dick Vitale would have a contract extension. And I'll be honest, I was shocked in the comments section of The Athletic at really the mean-spirited comments aimed at Dick Vitale.
Really?
I just was like, really?
What were they talking about, George? How can you talk about somebody that's meant so much to the game?
Yeah, I mean, it was really very disappointing. And some of it was at Corso and the whole, their time has passed and they need to go. And I was like, that's really mean.
Really bad. Really bad. Lee Corso, you've got to give it to Kirk Herbstreit because he's kept Lee Corso
absolutely
on tap for at least the last decade. He's done a really good job. He already makes a lot of money, but he should get a raise for that because he sits right beside him and he just finishes his stuff when he gets confused. He's done a really good job of that.
And that's fitting. The first ever headgear selection was Brutus the Buckeye for Lee Corso, and the last one will be Brutus. Obviously, Kirk Herbstreit playing there. That's going to be pretty emotional for both them.
Who would have ever known when he started that it would become the tradition that it's become? I mean, there are people who basically don't watch anything about that show, but turn it on 10 minutes early to see the picks and then the headgear.
That all started, is just Kirk Herbstreit. It all started with, I think he asked his girlfriend, who was a cheerleader, and asked if Brutus could lend his headgear over, and Corso said, why not? So we'll see Ohio State, Texas, Corso's final college game day headgear selection. We do have some college basketball news. The NCAA Playing Rules Oversight Panel has approved changes that are expected to enhance the flow of men's college basketball beginning this season. They include allowing coaches challenges to review out-of-bounds calls and goaltending or basket interference, as well as modifications to the rule on continuous motion on shot attempts. Regarding the proposed coach's challenge, much like in college football, teams must have a timeout to request an instant replay review.
Am I the only person that even when they slow it down can't really tell if it's a goaltender or not? I think that'll be a really hard one.
Yeah, most times you can't. But this whole replay review process was a joke this year, and they had to do something. So if the challenge review is successful, teams will be granted an additional video review challenge for the remainder of the game, including overtime. If unsuccessful, the team loses the ability to challenge any other calls in the game. So you got to be strategic.
If they get one,
yes, that's what it looks like. But if you lose, that's your challenge.
The coaches will start lobbying for two.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But they had to do something.
Yeah,
that's that's a little unfair though. Like, I don't know. That's tough. Just if you miss the first one, you get no more for the rest of the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, games, obviously you got 2 20-minute halves.
Yeah. Feels like it should be 2, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
NHL last night, the Panthers all over the Oilers 6-1. And take a listen to this. The Panthers and the Oilers combined for 140 penalty minutes last night, the most in a Cup final game since 1986.
You know why it turned out that way? Because when you get to like 4-1 and a penalty no longer could decide the game, that's when the players say, to hell with it.
Yeah.
Let's fight.
It got ugly last night. The Oilers took 21 penalties for 85 penalty minutes. They pulled their starting goalie and had a near-line brawl in the third period last night. But the Panthers take a 2-1 series lead. Game 4, is that Thursday? I think it is.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Still going 7.
You think it's still going 7?
Yeah, not as sure.
We'll see about that. That's what I got.
Okay. After the break, we're going to do this a little bit differently today because of some time elements that come into play. Tony Basilio will join us when we go to the commercial break in about 3 minutes. Then Lipscomb University Athletic Director Philip Hutcheson, who will be about 25 minutes away from getting on an airplane. I want to say he's in Florida somewhere, and it may be Orlando, but I can't swear to it. Anyway, he's going to join us right at 3:55 to talk about, okay, we know what this means for the big schools. What does this mean for the Belmonts and the Lipscombs? And, oh, by the way, there's some new news as Congress gets in the middle of it, which is either going to be really good or downright horrible. This is 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Tonight, your Nashville Sounds start a 6-game series in Norfolk. Pre-game at 5:20.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville app. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We are back, and one of the favorite things we do each week on the show is go to Knoxville today by phone and say hello to Knoxville sports talk show host extraordinaire, Tony Basilio. He is on by phone. Tony, how you doing?
George, it's a great day to be alive and well, and always good to talk to you, my friend.
Same here. So tell me this, after watching this series, is it possible Arkansas is the best team and going to win this whole thing?
I mean, anything's possible in that sport. You know, when you see what the field looks like right now, if I'm an Arkansas fan, I'm saying to myself, if we don't win this thing this year, when are we going to win it? Because this thing looks like it's theirs. And I was looking. Trivia question for you and Billy Derrick. All right, can we bring Billy in? I don't want to host here, but I got a trivia question for Billy.
Let's do it.
Since 1970, George and Billy, how many head baseball coaches has Arkansas had since 1970, guys?
3.
Now, Kelly, remember here that this is the same person that takes a rip at you and me every day when we stumble through stat of the day.
Yeah, he has no shot right now. He has no clue. Now, he's trying to look it up. He's scurrying like a little rat right now, looking on the computer, on the internet.
Guys. It's 2. How, George?
Oh,
that's
my gosh.
55 years. 2 baseball coaches.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You think there's another sport in the United States of America in the last 55 years on any of these college campuses that have had 2 head coaches anywhere?
No. In fact, you think about it, you hear this a lot about the Steelers with the 3, Tomlin, Bill Cowher, Chuck Noll. Those 3 are 55 years. That'd be the closest, wouldn't it?
I mean, I've never heard of such a thing. I got to looking it up because, somebody down in Arkansas was talking about, hey, one day Van Horn is going to hang it up and we need to go after Tony Vitello and he'll take the job. And this, that, and the other, which all sounds great, like in its in a vacuum, till you realize that Tony has one of the highest buyouts, if not the highest buyout in that sport. If he ever tried to leave here, that's one thing Tennessee did. They said, sure, we'll give you a huge deal, but you're going to give us something on the other side of this. We'll pay you north of $3 million, but we're going to lock you in. And he said, sure, because he doesn't have any designs on going anywhere. But the point I'm trying to make is the Arkansas situation is such that don't they have to cut a net down at some point in that sport? I mean, they've had all these great players. They've had all these great teams. They obviously have an excellent coach. I mean, they've got to cut a net down here, don't they?
It's got a little Buffalo Bills feel to it. Maybe not quite to that extent, but they've got a AAA minor league ballpark. Let's just call it what it is. It's a beautiful facility. They came within a dropped pop-up of winning the whole thing, whatever it was, 6-7 years ago against Oregon State. So when you saw him take the podium and he got a little emotional, I bet that was part of it.
Man, let me tell you something about Tony. Tony, there's this misconception out there that Tony and Van Horn are mortal enemies. Those guys love each other. And Tony's told me in the past, that guy gave him a chance. The two guys that gave him a chance were that Schlossnagel guy who he beat last year, and then the Van Horn guy, who really, that's how he came on Tennessee's radar, the job that he did at Arkansas. And, it would be almost apropos if you beat one year the guy that gave you the first opportunity. The second year, the guy that gave you the second opportunity beat you on the way to winning the championship you just won. That would be almost apropos. But I don't know. I wonder about Arkansas, because I'm going to tell you something about Arkansas last week. Tennessee did not have enough of a baseball team to push their crowd into that spot they're so used to being in, which is it's a late innings and you have a lead on them and they have to deal with it. Tennessee just didn't have enough team too many holes in Tennessee's lineup this year to do that. So I can remember when Billy Derrick came up and hung out with me for the weekend a month or so ago, 5 weeks ago. And he said, what do you think's going to happen this weekend? I said, I think Vanderbilt will get Tennessee. And he goes, huh? And I said, yeah, I don't think the Vols have enough juice in their lineup. And that's kind of what got them all year. So
did you at all second guess removing Doyle as early as they did?
George, I would have done that. Now, I know a lot of people are like, wow, that's crazy. And no, I don't second guess that because he wasn't going well. And Matt Dixon, who covered the deal for us, was there, said that it was interesting, Doyle's body language. He did not shoo Tony back into the dugout. He did not look at him like, don't come out here. Doyle's a competitor, and he would have stayed out there and pitched till his arm fell off. But the problem with Tennessee was they had to go to that Monday game, which means that they had to spend him. And they also had that situation where the catcher got suspended that night, which really screwed up their series in Arkansas as well. And see, Tennessee just wasn't good enough. A team that's good enough closes out Wake Forest and gets on with their business. And then you don't have to worry about, well, Doyle's throwing these extra pitches on a Monday night, and then this catcher's not available to us because we had this happen to us. That Tennessee team had a really, really nice season to get to where they were. And I do not disagree with what Tony did there, even though it kind of blew up on him.
On Doyle, is it pretty much a codlock cinch he's either number 1 or number 2 in the draft?
I'm not a draft expert. I've seen some drafts that have him very high. I'll tell you this, seeing guys from this league that, end up becoming successful major leaguers. Now, he only has 2 pitches, which I don't know if he could be a starting pitcher at that level with only 2 pitches, but if they get time with him, they could develop some other things in his repertoire. George, the interesting thing about what Major League Baseball has done with its draft is there are some teams that are going to draft in the top 4, 5, 6 picks that, like the St. Louis Cardinals, that are kind of hanging around playoff contention right now. If one of those teams gets their hands on Doyle, it would not surprise me if they put him in their bullpen right away and let him pitch some innings later on this summer for them.
You know, that's one of the things that has changed in baseball. It's happened before in the last 2 or 3 years. You make a great point on it.
Yeah, because teams can't tank anymore. They're trying to get, these teams, these non-spending teams are trying to sort of punish them so that they'll put a representative team on the field. But I don't know what my Phillies excuse is or what your Braves excuse is, but maybe they'll punish us too, George, at some point.
They'll make us go watch them.
That's a damn disgrace. The way our two teams have been playing is disgraceful. It's a disgrace to sports.
I'm not a happy camper. It is the summer of my baseball discontent.
There you go.
Now, you can't see this, so I'll give you kind of what I think. I think Kelly appears fairly alert, ready to roll. Kelly, say hello to Tony Basilio.
Tony, how you doing, man?
Hey, Kel, how you doing, buddy?
I love it, man. We've already been giving your boy Billy some garbage today, so you need to pep him up a little bit because he's a little down,
Well, Billy's sad because his boy Tony Vitello got beat yesterday, or over the weekend. That tore Billy all up.
You think so?
Since you left, we need an honest answer here. Have you written Mrs. Basilio a thank you note?
I haven't yet. I need to, though.
What the hell?
Billy, are you kidding? Billy, are you kidding?
Kelly.
I thought I was raising you better than that, son. That lady opened her house up to you, displaced her son.
Tony, did she cook dinner for this dude, or was he just straight mooching? Like what happened?
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh gosh.
He did volunteer to do the dishes, which I give the kid credit for that.
Did he make his bed?
I wouldn't go that far. He's a quality young man. Quality young man. He is. I'll tell you this right now. He is encouraged to stay with us once again. We love Billy Derrick. Class act, class person.
But no thank you note. Jeez.
He's fooled y'all because he's phony, Bill. He's phony, Tony. There's no question.
Great young man. Great young man.
Hey, let me ask you this. We've talked consistently on this show talking about the haves and the have-nots with all this new stuff, and I'm going to ask you about the NIL stuff. But you see a team like Murray State, they're the 4th team ever to be a number 4 seed and make it all the way to the College World Series. Do you think this is something that could happen every year with kids that are at these big schools and just say, hey, I don't care about that money. I just want to go play ball somewhere. I'm just looking for a place to play. And that's, Murray State, like yesterday, that I know that Duke, we had a Duke pitcher on, I think the other last week. Was it last week, George?
Yeah.
Yeah, last week. And, when you have a super regional, first time you ever hosted it, and Duke has been so close so many times, and then those kids tensed up the other day. But do you think you'll see this with smaller schools, with kids transferring from these big schools, going to somewhere where they just want to play ball?
Particularly in baseball, what you're going to see is you're going to see more of these teams. And the reason is because they've just gone to a thing where it's 34 scholarships now for the big boys. But that means their rosters are locked at 34. So like in the Southeastern Conference, some of these teams are carrying a roster of 50 players, 45, 50 players. You just think about the SEC alone. That would be, let's just say it's 10 more than that, not 15 per team. I think it's close to 15 per team, past the 35 pretty easily. But let's just say it's only 10. That's 160 extra players that now have to find a home. That will make mid-major baseball a lot stronger. And Tennessee's involved with some guys in the portal. Like there's a kid on campus today who went into the portal with a do not disturb, but he showed up in Knoxville this morning, kind of a submarine pitcher, a kid from Bearden High School, local Knoxville area. And he was pitcher of the year in that league. And so I think what happens is the kids that come into places like Tennessee, LSU, Arkansas, Vanderbilt in the fall that don't make those teams in the fall because they have to declare in early December what their roster is, unlike past years where they had into the second semester. Now, all of a sudden, these mid-major teams are going to descend upon these Southeastern Conference and ACC teams. The baseball in the mid-majors is only going to get better.
So yesterday we talked the whole program on the NIL decision that they made the other day in the settlement. Just give us your thoughts on that and the $20.5 million that they've capped to everything. And I said it yesterday. Like conferences and schools have been cheating forever, but I don't know if you can keep them under that $20.5 million. But what did you think about that? Because I think it said they're giving football 75% of it, men's basketball 15% of it, and then 5 and 5 for women's basketball, and then everybody else. What were your thoughts on all that on the ruling?
I think that will last for a few months. I think that all it is a couple of lawsuits away from us being back in total chaos. But in the meantime, what you're going to see is under the table cheating will come back in power. Look, the NCAA doesn't, nor will they ever have subpoena power. And so what you're going to see is you're going to see programs, collectives, etc., do their own deals with these families off to the side. This is how much we'll report to the NCAA, report it all to the IRS. It is no business of the NCAA if I pay you $2.5 million off to the table under the table, so to speak. As long as you're paying tax on it, the federal government's not going to care. This thing's a total, complete joke. Because what people misunderstand what that cap is. The cap is just one side of it, and then the other side is the collectives still exist. The collectives are still going to give these kids money. It's just a matter of now we've got to justify it through some silly, arbitrary, what we're calling a clearinghouse. Hey, listen, the minute you tell a billionaire that he can't give a kid money at his alma mater, and then they go to the clearinghouse and say, yeah, that's right, you can't give him that money, that kid, his attorneys, and that school are all going to take you to court. And the NCAA knows this, by the way. The only solution is collective bargaining. But in the meantime, those of us that follow collegiate sports all have to get familiar with this because for the next few months, it's going to be the law. And let me just tell you how silly this is. I was talking with a couple of contacts today in the baseball world. I said, how many guys are, to get to your 34 roster of 34, how many guys can you bring in? And I was told, we don't know. They haven't told us yet. Now, that's just one sport. How am I supposed to do business if I don't know how many people I'm allowed to sign? And then, the football thing, Kelly's interesting because now I have no more walk-on programs at these schools. All these kids in these state schools for years and years and years had an entree into telling people they played football and making business contacts and just whatever it is. That's all wiped away now. I mean, I don't understand it.
Tony, I want to go to baseball here real quick. You talked about Tony Vitello and how there's some talk all of a sudden about, who maybe he's the next guy at Arkansas. Do you buy into any of that? And if you do, what does that mean for Tennessee? Because I personally don't. Like, I don't think he's leaving Tennessee.
No, I don't buy in any of it because when they gave him that deal last year, they made it so onerous in terms of the buyout, which is great business. Look, if I'm going to reward you and we're going to build you a $140 million stadium, I better damn right well lock you into it. So I can't just reward you and build a stadium and make it easy for you to walk out of here. And I think Tony really loves it here. Look, I think Tony got emotional the other day because he has a soft spot in his heart for that place at Arkansas. He loves the sport of college baseball. He appreciates the fact that this Van Horn guy is going to get another opportunity, and the sands are slipping through the hourglass on him in terms of his career. And Tony is a lot better of a dude than a lot of people think he is. And I'm not just saying that because he's going to be on my show tomorrow to lead off the program, because I'm sure he'll be angry with me when our interview is over tomorrow, a few of the questions I'm going to ask him. But I don't think he's going to take the Arkansas job anytime soon. No, I just think it would cost too much money. Plus, I don't see him leaving here.
So for that person in Middle Tennessee who would like to hear that interview and maybe has never listened to your show before but said, man, that is one sharp cat, how do they do that?
Yeah, I'm available at tclub.team, and that one sharp cat, George, is getting ready to pick my guitar up in the park. I've got a speaker I'm going to clip to my belt, and picture a guy that looks, I don't know, like he should be semi-living under a bridge, walking around with a guitar with a speaker blaring out, playing music to that said speaker. That's the guy you would entrust listening to. But tclub.team is how you find us.
I love it. Hey, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Tell you what he is. He's a heck of a broadcaster.
Yeah, I agree.
That is my story, and I am sticking to it. So after the break, we're going to react for a few minutes to what he put out there. Then, back at the station, we'll probably go to the break a few minutes early so that we can get Philip Hutcheson on and then get him on the airplane where he doesn't miss the flight. So we got a lot coming. Please stick around. This is 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
Golf in any form or fashion, this is where you need to be. Experience the future of golf through the world's most accurate simulator. See you in Franklin on Friday.
Two total screw-ups of humongous proportions.
Sports. We're not living in an era where perfection is necessary.
They thought they were a championship contending team.
Here, we told you not to do this. Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We are back. Let me ask this question coming off of Tony Basilio's interview moments ago to both of you guys. If you're Arkansas, don't you have to offer Vitello the job and make him say no?
Absolutely.
I think so. And I mean, if Van Horn wins it this year, the first question you got to ask, does he retire? Because there is some speculation he might.
Right,
So
and I'm saying if he does retire.
Oh yeah, I think that's a no-brainer.
You have to force him to say no.
Yeah, and if I'm Tony Vitello, that'd be hard to turn down. I know he's got something going at Tennessee, but and the A&M was different. You know, the A&M rumors from last year, I don't think any of us ever thought that was going to happen. They offered him a lot of money. I'm sure Arkansas would, but that would be pretty enticing for me.
Well, here's the deal, though, George. Like he has, that's the negotiating power that he has. He's already won a national championship. The Tennessee people love him. The Tennessee organization loves him. They've built him $30 million new stadium. Like, he's got the leverage in this deal, so he needs to listen to what they're saying, because they're going to. That's one of their, if not the top, that's either the top two that they're going after. So when they do that, you just say, "Hey, I'm going to go." You leverage that against UT, and he'll be able to break the bank. I mean, I know that Tony said that, what his buyout is probably the biggest in the country, but like, he now has more leverage if they ask him to come, because I think Tennessee wants to keep him. I think he's got a nice fit there. He likes the place. He's brought them up to be where they are right now, and a perennial powerhouse in college baseball. So he's got all the leverage. And if that's in sports, when you talk about contracts, and when I had to talk about contracts with my agent, that's what you want. The guy has produced, he's gone to a place, he's built that place, they've got him new stuff, but hey, his ties are in Arkansas, and hey, you just got to leverage that. That's the business side of all this.
So again, I'm putting the cart before the horse, because this is under the theory that if Arkansas truly is good enough to win it all, and they are good enough to win it all, there are not many teams that would have throttled Tennessee the way Arkansas did. If it were to come open under the category of, well, he's got a big buyout. Yeah, granted. But the Arkansas people, and what they've got kind of right now is a three-pronged attack. They've got Tyson Chicken, they've got Walmart, and they've got a bunch of money coming out of Northwest Arkansas. My uncle says that they're loaded. And I've said to my uncle, then send some of it my way. That has not happened. I've tried.
All you got to say is John Calipari. I mean, he went down there. He's getting paid bukus of money. They're giving him everything he wants to build that program up. And I think the same thing is said. They want an athletic program that is going to be competitive in all sports. And like you said, they have plenty of money.
On the flip side, so does Big Orange Country.
That's right.
Yeah, there's something to be said about being comfortable at a place. And I'm kind of with Tony. I don't think Vitello would leave, but I'm just saying I think he would think harder about Arkansas than he did Texas A&M.
Or anywhere else, maybe.
Yeah.
So for those of you who maybe have not paid a lot of attention, it looks like Congress is going to get in the middle of this whole NIL stuff. And now that we supposedly have the settlement, Billy, if you have the ability to put that graphic up there, we're going to talk about it quite a bit later. This is, and I'm not going to try to read through the whole thing. There's some piece of legislation that essentially would try to do what you're seeing if you're watching the podcast. Number one, fully deputize the Collegiate Sports Commission. I think I've been saying for 2 years I'd get a committee together, and I named names. David Cutcliffe would be one of them. So would Watson Brown. Number two, allow an entity to establish a salary cap. To me, if we're ever going to get any sanity Number two's got to happen. Y'all buy that?
Absolutely.
So how I'm reading that is, does each entity, so each school can set their own? Is that what we're saying?
Allow essentially a collegiate sports commission.
Okay.
Number three is preempt state NIL laws with this national NIL law that just went in. Number four, allow the NCAA, conferences, or another entity to establish and enforce rules around transfers, eligibility length, and paying recruits. Number five, and this is something I'm going to try and get Philip to talk about, declare that college athletes are not employees. I don't fully understand all this, but what he's likely to explain is that if they become employees, the colleges have to do way more for them than they do now. And then number six, require and take out the word agent and put scumbags. Require scumbags to register. That's one of the big problems we got going right now is we've got a bunch of little Jerry Maguire wannabes who are running around passing themselves off as agents, charging ridiculous percentages. So require scumbags to register. You like that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you didn't know that was coming, did you? Okay, after the break, Philip Hutcheson, the athletic director at Lipscomb, nice enough to join us. We will put this graphic back up there after Philip, and I'll get more specific on exactly what is being rumored. He'll join us after the break. This is 94.9 The Fan.
Looking for your favorite sports?
How about sports? You follow sports?
We probably have it. Just log on to the Information Superhighway. They don't call it that anymore?
To start, press any key. Where's the any key?
Head to theGameNashville.com.
The password, we're in.
You'll find what time your game starts and what station it's on.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
That's what's up. Your sports live here.
What an age we live in.
On the Game Nashville Sports Network. Listen on the air.
So don't tell me to chill out.
On the web at thegamenashville.com.
This team has strategically put themselves back in the mix.
Watch us on YouTube or download the Game Nashville app.
You have to make those plays.
Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
Nashville. The semifinals of the PFL World Tournament begin Thursday, June 12th. Former welterweight world champion Jason Jackson takes on rising star the Silverback Thad Jean, plus 2023 PFL World Champ Jesus Pinedo and Gabriel Braga collide in a highly anticipated trilogy match. Don't miss your chance to see the action live June 12th at Municipal Auditorium in Nashville. Visit pflmma.com/schedule for more info.
Give Dad what he really wants this Father's Day with gifts from Electronic Express. We've got the latest tech, hottest grills, and top-of-the-line home entertainment to help you celebrate Father's Day in style. Looking for appliances to help him finish that kitchen project? We've got that too, with free delivery, guaranteed lowest prices, and up to 24 months free financing. Make this Father's Day one he'll remember. Shop in store or online at electronicexpress.com.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9 The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Okay, we'll get right to this. Philip Hutcheson is Lipscomb University's athletic director. He is on the line with us from an airport, I think, in Florida. Philip, where are you?
Hey, George. Good to see you. Good to talk with you. I'm in Orlando. I'm coming back from the NACTA convention, which is the big AD and administrator convention that goes on once a year. This year it was in Orlando.
Boy, I'd like to have been a fly on the wall to hear some of the discussions.
Yeah, it was probably wasn't as spicy as it would have been if we didn't have some information we have now that we didn't have last week, but there was still plenty to talk about.
So we feel like we know a little bit about what this means for the Power Four in the Lipscomb category, or a Belmont or an MTSU. What does this really mean for y'all?
Well, I mean, in some ways, it's not so different. I mean, it gives us a little bit of a roadmap for what we can and what we can't do, and the conversations that we would have. So much of what we've done this past year has just been kind of to say, well, let's wait and see. And certainly, there's a financial piece looking backwards for all of the schools. There was a part of the House settlement was a settlement with athletes who've been playing sports the last 10 years. There's a formula that was created that was heavily weighted towards football, which schools like Lipscomb and Belmont don't have, but MTSU, TSU do have. And but in any event, there was a formula that was created that was going to pay those athletes for their use of their name, image, and likeness. And each of us got to take a piece of that pie. And so now for the next 10 years, we'll have a reduction in our NCAA revenue distribution that will help cover our piece of that pie, so to speak. Then there's the looking forward piece that has some of the new rules that I know you guys have looked at and talked about, and obviously the ability to do revenue sharing for some of the schools that choose to do that.
Philip, you got to give me an AD lesson here. Schools don't want college athletes to be employees. Kind of share with listeners why that is.
Well, ultimately, I think we still feel like that it's, there's still an academic component to what we're doing. And quite frankly, some of the schools that we're probably more a part of in terms of the non-Power Four now, I guess, I've really been pushing to try to create some tangible ways to continue to demonstrate that athletics is a part of the academic experience. Now, obviously, there's a commercial component to it, so I don't totally disagree that there are pieces of it that do, look and sound like, those kinds of relationships, employer relationship. However, I will say that one thing is, we have 17 different sports at Lipscomb, and most schools have some number, 14 to, let's say, 22, could be higher. But and really, when you talk about sports that generate revenue, there are really only two generally. Now, there are some exceptions. Some of the baseball programs do, Oklahoma softball, maybe Nebraska volleyball, that generate revenue that probably help support their sport. But the reality is that the revenues that you talk about a lot of times that are generated, especially at these bigger schools, a lot of the revenues going for those particular programs help to support all of the other programs. And so if you were to end up creating an employer-employee model, you could have a real chance of really hurting the opportunities for a lot of those other sports. And I think that's one of the biggest concerns.
So do you like this settlement?
I would obviously, I'd rather us not have to pay money primarily to football players for a sport that we don't have. But I like that something's been done and that we can start to move forward. Now, there's still a ton of unanswered questions. And quite frankly, a lot of those are still going to be probably years in the answering entirely. But I do like that we've been able to take this step forward for the short term and understand either you have the ability to what they call opt in the settlement, which means we'll be a part of it, and we'll also choose to abide by the new roster limits that come with that settlement. Of course, schools can choose to opt out of it and not do that, but there's some give and take there in terms of the way they can deal with revenue and that sort of thing. But I'm glad we're able to move on now versus roll into the next season, still not certain any day what could happen. So I am happy about that.
Here's the last thing I'm going to ask you, and then I'll turn it to Kelly Holcomb. And you tell us when you've got a bolt, because I do not want to stop you from getting on that plane.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm sitting here staring at it. I've got a few minutes. I still got probably more time than you want to listen to me. So we're good so far.
No, listen, I really appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, sure.
If you could have 10 minutes with the judge to get clarification of maybe one thing, what would it be?
Well, see, that's interesting because I think the judge, she ruled on the facts that were in front of her. I think some of the questions that remain to be seen, she would say, weren't really hers to make any judgment on. For instance, how you view the distribution of the money going forward and what implication that might have for Title IX or for international students or for things like that. Judge Wilkins would say that was not in the purview of what her ruling was. She was just asked to answer the question or rule on the case she ruled on, which was not that kind of case. So I don't know that I would have any real question for her. I understand kind of how it came about. And again, it was a settlement. So you had the Power Four conferences at the time was the Power Five conferences and the NCAA that were the named defendants, and we are part of the NCAA, so we're the kind of quote others that were in the case. And I think a lot of the questions were answered along the way. I think the ones that remain to be answered probably didn't. A lot of them didn't fall under what she was ruling on to begin with.
Kelly,
a lot of unintended, I guess, a lot of tentacles that come out of it. That as with any complicated case, a lot of questions that come out, in different directions.
Philip, how you doing?
Hey, Kelly, great. You got a lot going on this month. Congratulations.
I do have a lot going on this month, man. We're praying for no rain, so we need you to pray for some no rain.
Absolutely. Will do.
Hey, so you've already got a hard job. We were talking to Watson Brown yesterday, talking about all this, and you've got some clarity in it a little bit. But how much harder does it make your job?
Well, I mean, it's just not even the same. It's funny. Last year I was at the Atlantic Sun annual meeting, and we always have our Hall of Fame induction for our conference there. And we had a young woman, Whitney Connell, who played softball for us in about 2008 to 2012, something like that. And just watching the highlights and kind of thinking about that time, I turned to our SWA, Grace Ann Miller, and I said, man, it just doesn't even seem like we're on the same planet anymore. I mean, it just watching the highlights and thinking about what was going on then. And so it makes it harder. Again, coaches, you don't want coaches that don't care. I mean, you want coaches that want to succeed in all areas. And certainly when you have in some of these cases, it just becomes more and more challenging. I think the other thing is there's just so much talk out there about, well, I heard this or somebody told me this, and then there's information and there's misinformation, and really so much time has just been spent trying to kind of continue to level set where we're at, what's going on, trying to counter some of the misinformation that's out there, try to continue to keep our eye on the ball about what we're really doing here with athletics and not lose the plot of the story. So it's definitely challenging, but as I told some people, the old Shawshank Redemption line, I think Morgan Freeman, I can't remember, I think he was the one that said, get busy living or get busy dying. And so that's what you got to do. I mean, you got to get busy living.
So let me ask you this. Sometimes I'm not very smart when it comes to numbers. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't good at math, but you just said it. Everything is kind of catered to the Power Four or the Power Five conferences, and they capped it at $20.5 million. But when it goes to the others, Like, is it just how much money you have? Like, how does that go? Can you go up to 20.5 million, which I'm sure, I wouldn't think that smaller schools could do that, but is it just what you have in kind of your piggy bank that you divvy up between players?
Yeah, any fan or donor that says something about the 20.5 million, my first reaction is, you, my friend, have the power to make that happen. And so that's my first answer. So, but yeah, the 20.5 million is really just a function of a formula that was used with all the Power 5 schools, where they took an average of about 7 different factors that had to do with TV rights and ticket sales and some other things like that. And then they came up with this total of 20.5 million. 22% of that total they come up with is 20.5 million. And then that will escalate year by year over the next several years. So that was based on numbers coming out of the Power 4, but it's applicable to every school in Division 1. So yes, you're right. The ceiling is that. But it's really up to all the schools to decide if they want to do all of that, some of that, or none of that. And the reality is, out of 360, 370, whatever there are D1 schools now, only a handful, and not even all of the Power 4s by a long shot, are making money at athletics. Right. So when you talk about revenues, you're not talking about net revenues. I mean, you're just talking about choosing to share some of the revenues you are currently generating, and that's up to each school, as you kind of said.
So if you talked about of course, Belmont, Lipscomb, neither one of y'all have football programs, and that's where the majority of the money goes. But like, do you have to sit around yourself and with your staff and say, how do we divvy up the money that we have to these certain sports? Is that how you do it?
No, you don't have to do that. I mean, you don't have to do any revenue sharing. It just gives you the ability to do it. Now, if you choose not to do it, then obviously you're risking the recruiting disadvantage that may come from you not doing revenue sharing, and a school that you're competing with doing revenue sharing. So you don't have to do it. There's also some one of the other big changes was, it used to be, and I say used to be like a week ago, that used to be that you could, let's use baseball, for instance. Baseball usually has 34 to 40 players on a team, but they were only allowed 11.7 scholarships, the equivalent amount that equals 11.7 scholarships. Well, with the change in this, with the House settlement, they're getting rid of scholarship limits. 11.7 for baseball, got rid of it. 13 for men's basketball, got rid of it. 12 for volleyball, got rid of it. Now they just say roster limits. So you are not allowed to have more than a certain number of players on your team, 34 in the case of baseball, but you could have a full scholarship for every one of those players if you wanted to. So there's also a financial component that's really big on the financial aid piece of it for some of the schools. And again, those are decisions you make. You may say, well, are we better off giving our star pitcher, do revenue sharing, give our star pitcher, make up some number, $20,000. A lot of times the numbers are, multiples of that, but $20,000 this year. Or are we better giving another scholarship to somebody, and make our team better that way? Both are revenue decisions, but they're different ways you use the opportunity to spend that money. So I don't know if that makes sense, but those are some of the conversations that you're trying to have.
No, I totally understand that. So my last question here is, and this is what interests me. Like yesterday, I asked them guys, and you're actually in those rooms and you're hearing it, but like, they're going back to 2016 with all the NIL stuff and people that had their name, image, or likeness. But like, are they kind of opening a can of worms for people that are before that? Like, and I use the example of, I had a nesting doll at middle. Now I don't know if they sold that or whatever, but like, I was the face of that deal. So like, do you see any more litigation with that against the NCAA?
Well, I do. I definitely see more litigation, outside of the window of this ruling. And I do think that it'll be unlikely to see much more outside the window of this ruling. And again, the NCAA is in hopes that they agreed to this, more or less the 10 years looking forward to, kind of this set of agreements and rules. And so that will reduce litigation there too. But you're going to have lawsuits. Now, I don't know about, Kelly, like to going back to beyond the 10 years. I don't know enough about that kind of law to know, what the odds are of having a good case. And there probably comes some part of it that becomes, okay, well, is it, ultimately attorneys are going to take cases they think they can win or settle for money. And if they think, well, the payoff's not worth the amount of time, effort, money we spend, then you may not find lawyers that are really willing to take the case. So don't really know the answer to that, but I do not doubt for a second that we will continue to see some amount of people trying to file suits for various reasons about all this.
Phil, appreciate you taking the time with us. For Lipscomb, and let's take basketball, for example, and obviously that's the sport you think of here in Nashville, whether it's Belmont. Obviously, we know about Trevecca, of course, and some other schools around the state that have really good basketball programs. Do you think down the road, and maybe even this season or the next 2 or 3 years, do you think this settlement could eventually be a net positive for, let's say, Lipscomb basketball specifically?
It's such a mixed bag. I think it has some possibility to do it. I'll say this, it's really the jet fuel on all this is the transfer portal. The transfer portal allowing people to change schools at any time really is just free agency every year now. And so I have said though that sometimes my favorite athletes that we've gotten at Lipscomb are people who have transferred from other schools. Because they've kind of been somewhere else and they've gone to those places for whatever reasons where they chose to go there. But then hopefully the way we do things is different enough in a way or special enough to them in such a way that they're like, hey, I really appreciate it. Like I've been at another college. I know what it's like. And I know the difference at Lipscomb, even more than a high school student would know. So in some ways we've benefited from some of all this that's gone on. Where people are moving around a little bit more, have the ability to do that. In terms of the money piece of it, that's hard. That's hard to say. I mean, obviously, some people would say, "Oh, well, schools like Lipscomb and Belmont, TSU, MTSU, whatever, y'all are kind of like serving as like the minor leagues. You're like training these players or developing them, and then they move on." In some cases, that's true. But, in some cases, we've also seen where, somebody stays with us for a while longer and maybe has opportunity to really showcase what they can do or to develop their skills greater than they could if they were, playing half as much time at a bigger school. And really it's a win-win because they help us get better. And then maybe it helps them with their opportunities down the road. So, again, I think it does have some ability to do that, but that's where we've got to be really good at showing, okay, well, here's the value proposition for going to Lipscomb. We're not going to win an auction. I can promise you that. Like, we're not just going to go out and, go up in an auction against Tennessee or somebody and win that. So we've got to figure out ways to create a value proposition that makes it, a good fit for students here. And it's interesting. I was in a seminar today, and Greg Byrne, the AD at Alabama, was saying pretty much the same thing. Well, if Alabama's saying that kind of thing, I mean, probably almost everybody's thinking some version of that.
First of all, Philip, this is where you need to say, I've got to get on the plane because Kelly just gave me.
I'm good, Joe. I got about. Again, you get tired of me before that, but I've got about 15 minutes. I'm good up until about 5:30, and anytime before that.
You got to be smarter than that because Kelly said he had one last question.
Because, Philip, I could ask you questions about this all day, man. You're really knowledgeable about this. But you brought up the transfer portal. Like in professional sports, which that's kind of what we are now in the Power Fours. It's professional sports. Amateurism's taken out of it. So, you can't go to free agency. You have to stay there a little while. So has there anything been said about the transfer portal and how many times you can do it? Because we always joke on the program about JT Daniels. He went to 5 different schools in 5 years. And, so like you can't do that in these professional sports. So has there been any talk about limiting kids from transferring?
Well, again, I think that's where you'd really have some concerns that you'd run into some lawsuits for a year or, limiting their ability to take advantage of their, opportunities. And but it obviously, I mean, just a normal person on the street says this is really a challenging situation, or maybe even, really difficult. And so I do think if you ever start getting into where it becomes more likely that it trends towards an employment situation, then you would start to see that, just like you do in the pros. Or, I've always said, hey, look, why don't we implement a transfer fee like they do in, in European soccer? So if somebody wants to come take a player from Lipscomb, how about you reimburse us at least the cost of the scholarship and some factor, 1.25 times the value of a full scholarship for the training room, the insurance, the feeding them, the travel, all of that. I mean, how about you reimburse us for that, just like they do, if Kylian Mbappe leaves PSG in France and goes somewhere else, they get, $100 million for him to go somewhere else. So I don't know. I mean, I still think there's a lot of creative ideas out there right now, Kelly, to your question. I don't see anytime soon them doing a lot with the transfer portal, just because of the litigation risk.
Philip, first of all, really appreciate your taking the time to do this. Safe travels back to Nashville. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Always good to talk to you guys, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys in person sometime soon.
Look forward to it. Philip Hutcheson is the athletic director at Lipscomb University down in Orlando for the conferences that he was talking about earlier. After the break, stat of the day, and then we will revisit the story that has come out on The Athletic about Congress's next move when it comes to this mess. This is 94.9, The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
I trained my entire life to be the best. I was one of the fastest women in the entire country. But woke politics made me swim against a man, sharing the pool and the locker room. That's not just dangerous, it's degrading. Thank God for Marsha Blackburn. No one fights harder to protect us. Marsha Blackburn will always stand for strong women because she's one of us.
I'm Marsha Blackburn, and I approve this message.
Are you ready to begin? Trevecca Nazarene University. From calling to becoming.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, Dial them up, 615-793-9500, or log on to ventureexpress.com. Dial them up, 615-793-9500, or log on to ventureexpress.com.
I trained my entire life to be the best. I was one of the fastest women in the entire country. But woke politics made me swim against a man, sharing the pool and the locker room. That's not just dangerous, it's degrading. Thank God for Marsha Blackburn. No one fights harder to protect us. Marsha Blackburn will always stand for strong women because she's one of us.
I'm Marsha Blackburn, and I approve this message.
Tonight, your Nashville Sounds start a 6-game series in Norfolk. Pre-game at 5:20.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville app. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Time now for Stat of the Day, brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website. That's applecollisioncenters.com. All right. Today, we're going a little baseball. George Kirby surpassed 500 career strikeouts to go with his 68 walks in 93 games started. Who is the only other MLB player in the modern era since 1901 to have 500-plus strikeouts and fewer than 70 walks in any span of 93 starts?
Okay, first of all, Kelly, you'll want to know that during the break, this group, egged on by Billy, tried to make it sound like sitting here and answering these is easy. And I know you'll have a reaction to that.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. These questions are ridiculous. Sometimes we sneak up on one, but like, who's Billy kidding? You know what I'm saying? Like, these are hard. And you go 1901? Come on now.
It's since 1901 that this guy pitched predominantly in the 90s.
Okay. Let's think this through, because predominantly in the 90s, Randy Johnson never had that good a control. So
what about a Greg Maddux, George?
Maddux, let me think this question through. Surpassed 500 career strikeouts to go with 68 walks in 93 games started. In the modern era, to have 500 Ks and fewer than 70 base on balls in any span of 93 starts. Okay, Maddux maybe didn't have that many strikeouts, but
that's what I was thinking. But
yeah,
he's got the control, and I wouldn't think he had the walks, but I don't know if he had the strikeouts. Roger Clemens
in the 90s. Clemens would have been more in the 80s. Smoltz walked too many people. That wouldn't have fit him, and I don't think Glavine is in there. I don't think it's a Brave. Kerry Wood is one that comes to mind, but that's a little bit later than that. His control was not that good. So I'm fumbling around because I don't have a great answer.
I don't either. That's a lot of pitchers.
Yeah. Go ahead and put it up there.
Greg Maddux.
Oh, my God. Is it really? Okay, hold on. Go back to the question. Okay. 500 career strikeouts with 68 walks.
That's the first person that popped in my mind because of the walks. Now, I didn't think he had the career strikeouts like that. I didn't think he had that many. I knew that dude was one of the best at painting corners and making balls move, and he had such control. And the walks is kind of why I thought Greg Maddux.
There's also, he threw a complete game shutout in his heyday as a Brave with less than 80 total pitches.
Crazy.
Think about that. That's absolutely insane.
He was automatic.
Yeah.
What did he top out at? 92?
Yeah, if that. Ended up with 355 career victories.
Wow.
When you look at, most wins in Major League history, Billy, you might look it up. He's probably third or fourth all time at 355.
Wow.
That is a big old number. And in fact, we're looking it up right now. Warren Spahn is probably up there somewhere. Certainly Walter Johnson, Cy Young, names like that from the old days. But I don't believe we will ever see anything even remotely close to Greg Maddox's 355 career wins. That day is over.
Oh, you're talking career wins.
Career wins. Yeah. Okay. So this is good radio as we stall around.
I thought you were talking about strikeouts. He ranks 10th in career strikeouts in MLB history. He ranks 8th in career wins in MLB history.
I thought he was higher than. Okay, let's get the list in a minute. Let me kind of. Looks like you're about to bring me that. So the 10 are
Nolan Ryan.
No, that's strikeouts. No, I'm looking for career victories.
Oh, my bad.
We know.
This is not good radio, George.
No, it probably isn't.
You can stall a little bit.
Well, you could get it right the first time.
Oh, I want to see you try to do this.
Okay. Cy Young at 5'11", Walter Johnson 417, Grover Alexander 373, along with Christy Matheson, Warren Spahn at 363, somebody named Kid Nichols, who I've never heard of, 361, Pud Galvin, good old Pud, had 361. And Greg Maddox got to 355. How you doing there, Pud? Okay, so we've lost control here. We welcome all of you officially into the 4 o'clock hour. We're only about 28 minutes late, but sometimes you have to change up on some things. So here's the deal. A discussion draft of a bill obtained by The Athletic outlines an upcoming proposal in the House of Representatives Committee on Energy and Commerce that would codify most of the federal support the NCAA has lobbied for in recent years. Let's go back, if we can, to that graphic. So, number one, it appears that they want to deputize, and I don't know exactly what deputize means. It means, I don't know if, Barney Fife ends up in this, but suffice it to say, they want there to be a collegiate sports commission. Now, the guy that has been named, I don't get it. Why do you have a guy that doesn't have a lot of college experience? That makes no sense to me. But whatever the case, allow an entity to establish a salary cap. Guys, until we get number 2 done, none of this is going to get any better.
I agree with you, George. But just like Philip said, there's only so many teams that, like sports in colleges are not profitable a lot of times, and Philip even alluded to that. So that's, I don't know. That's a tough deal. But they have to have, like, for the big boys, like the Ohio States, the Alabamas, the UTs, the LSU. They have to have something to kind of control them. Now, I don't think that's going to control them, but you have to have a certain point where they can go.
And so where I think they're going with that is allow an entity to establish a salary cap, which I think what they mean by that is, okay, we've got this thing where the schools can contribute up to $20.5 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think what number 2 is supposed to mean is for all the J.R. Ewings out there that want to play fast and loose and whatever, if you go above a certain amount of dollars from these collectives and we catch you, there will be problems.
Good luck trying
how are they
to put a cap on that.
Good luck. Yeah, good luck.
I mean,
Because if the
that's been
collectives
happening.
are out there, if the collectives are out there, they're going to use that collective to just give more.
Yeah, and Watson brought it up yesterday. That's what happened to SMU. They've been doing this for who knows how long. So and they still haven't been able to
since Methuselah.
Yeah. So this is a good. I mean, yeah, they have a cap. It's what the schools are paying these kids 20.5, but that's not a real cap with what the majority of these players are making.
So should they do away with the guys? Should they do away with the collectives then?
Well, I don't think a court will allow it.
Right.
Because what's going to end up happening? Let's say at $20.5 million, let's make up. Alabama says we'll fund $18 million of it to football. Well, somebody from basketball is going to sue and say, this system doesn't allow me to do anything. It's restraint of trade. And that appears to me to be what the courts have been on from the beginning, is restraint of trade.
But it's a revenue share. Which sport produces the most revenue?
Yeah, but is that written into this agreement?
I mean, is that not what it is, though? The like, you're sharing the revenue that a school makes. And you look at Alabama, for example, what percent of their revenue in their athletic department is because of the football program? And then go down the list, what percent of it is basketball? I know that's probably not how every school is looking at it.
What do you do at Vandy where your basketball draws more than your football?
You amp it up for basketball.
Oh, well, now that you've gotten that solved, thank you, Commissioner. Number 3 seems obvious, right?
Yeah.
All these various state laws just go out the window.
I think it's got to be the same.
Missouri, that needs to end.
Number 4 is an interesting one. Enforce rules around transfers. Philip, in 2 minutes, came up with the answer, which is if Arkansas wants the kid from Tennessee Tech, Arkansas has got to pay Tennessee Tech some moolah.
Yep.
Thus,
I agree.
I mean, why should that take very long to figure out?
That curtails a lot of that. Yeah. I think that was a great idea. When he was talking about it, I was like, that is a great idea. And that's what he talked about, the European leagues, but that's what you have to do. Like if a kid transfers or something, then you have to give up money.
Yeah, and I think Willie brought it up yesterday. The clearinghouse with these NIL payments, they're going to go every NIL payment of more than $600 has to go through a clearinghouse starting July 1st, which I think they're calling NIL Go, and they're going to look at it and assess whether it makes sense with what the market. And good luck to them doing that. That's another thing that. Well, they can try to do that, but I don't see that working out.
So number 6 on here, require agents to register. What we have really had in the last few years.
This might be one of the best ones.
Well, if we're being honest, some of the all-time scumbags to ever come out, into the open have been these people. If you're going to be a real sports agent, there are certain things that you have to do.
Yep.
Okay. In the NIL world, any Tom, Dick, or Harry can say I'm an agent, and they've been charging percentages that are insane.
Insane, George. I'll give you an example. There was one of Jameson's best buddies was over here, and he was talking about, talking to an agent, they're not even agents, they're just people, and they're making way with these kids. And he told me, he was like, I said, how much are you having to pay him? And he told me 15%. I'm like, 15%? He was like, yeah. I said, my agent, of course it had to go to the collective bargaining agreement, but the NFLPA made it, you can't go past 3%. And that's why all these NFL agents are pissed off, because they're in the NFL and they can't go above a certain level. And then now you got these dudes out here charging 15, 20%. They're raping these kids, which is ridiculous.
Here comes the last piece of this that is not in this, but needs to be. Okay, you've got right now rampant tampering.
Rampant.
And it's an absolute joke. I mean, coaches privately admit it's going on. They may not publicly say it, but privately they do say it. And one of the tricks of that trade has become that let's make up two teams. James Madison and maybe James Madison isn't a good one. Rutgers and Ohio State. Kid from Rutgers has a big breakout game against the old Buckeyes. By the end of the game, as they're getting ready to shake hands, coaches on the Ohio State side, and again, I'm not saying this literally, have informed a certain player, go tell the star player at Rutgers, we want him. Kelly, you know that's going on.
That is absolutely going on. Another way to do it is, you got somebody on the staff that recruited a kid from Rutgers. So all you got to do is, hey, just make way with him and kind of get in there and say, hey, what are you doing? We're interested in you. And what about this guy? What do you think about him? Can you say something to him? Say, we're interested in him. So there may be some collateral deals where you have to take that one kid because you're trying to get that other kid. But stuff like that's happening, man. Or if you recruit a kid out of high school, which is going to totally stop, it feels like. High school kids are getting totally left out. But if you recruit a kid and you wanted his teammate, so both of those guys were kind of on the same deal, and the other kid goes somewhere and this one kid is on your team, all you got to do is say, hey, why don't you text him and say, how is he liking what's going on with him right now? He's not playing. He would have played here. Why don't you text him and see if he's happy there? And if he's not, we'll take him. That's all that stuff's going on. There's no question.
Yeah, I don't understand where, what differently, what's going to change because of this? I guess the revenue,
$20.5 million settlement. Yeah, honestly, not a damn thing. I don't believe anything changes for the better that's what's really scary.
It's going to get worse.
Did she know enough about college athletics to really get to the meat of all this? I don't know.
Do you think she talked to the Nick Sabans? Do you think she talked to a Watson Brown or a David? Do you think she got some advice from people that know anything about college sports?
Well, I think she's allowed to.
Yeah, I know that. I'm just saying, do you think she probably did?
I don't know. Yeah. Because to be honest, nobody's really heard from her.
Yeah.
Billy, why don't you get her on tomorrow?
I'll do that.
Yeah, work on that.
I mean, I've heard that she's got a good reputation, but for whatever that's worth.
But it sure seems like if this was supposed to be the document that gets us on an upswing, I don't see it.
And y'all know another thing, and you skipped over the one where, they don't want players being employees, which is understandable, because can you imagine the Pandora's box that you open up with that? If they're an employee, now what do you got? Do you got to give them a 401k? They've already got insurance, some insurance through the school, but you're going to have to give them benefits. That is That's wild. So if that ever happens, yeah, I just don't see how these universities can do it. I really don't. And I didn't understand that. I know that, Philip, and that people, hey, you don't have to participate in this, but if you don't participate in it, you're not going to get any players. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah. Okay, let's go to the break. And then if you want to jump in with any reaction to anything you've heard on this, we'd love to hear it. We just need you to be a red-blooded American who has not tampered with a Division I athlete today. You can tamper any other day, but not today. 615-553-0933 is the number. 615-553-0933. Billy, how else can they reach us?
Chat room is open on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. It's just to the right of the screen you're watching on YouTube, and you can swipe up on Twitter and Facebook as well.
Okay, we'll go to the break. Then we'll take some phone calls on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Form or fashion, this is where you need to be. Experience the future of golf through the world's most accurate simulator. See you in Franklin on Friday.
A lot of people want to define teams by singular performances.
Sports. Did he not go back into the game after that interception?
Let's get this turned around. And we're all saying, no, they don't.
Here. You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, we are back. People want to react. Who knows where all this is going? But Tony in Nolensville will start us nonetheless. Tony, welcome.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. It's always riveting talk, radio sports talk with you guys. And, of course, y'all bring, top-notch topics to the table and to the airways. With this, George, I read here like just a week or so ago, Billy, you might recall this article, Kelly, that Texas is looking now at a $40 to $50 million budget just for football alone.
Mm-hmm.
When you get that kind of money involved in your athletic budget coming in from a lot of other, from your boosters and businesses, and with this new commission that was announced yesterday that is going to be making sure that you're credible businesses and this type of thing, and then today Congress is wanting to maybe step in. The worst word in all of business and everywhere is the word audit. And,
you got that right.
And you know, this is an area I don't think many people touched on. I was thinking about it this afternoon when I heard about Congress is wanting to get involved. You get these type of businesses involved in athletics, and let's not forget, a lot of your politicians up there, irregardless Republican, Democrat, whatever, a lot of them own businesses. A lot of them make large contributions to universities. And the last thing they would want is to have the government involved in looking into their records, and all based off of a committee that's going to be in charge of this, all this money that's being slung around all over the place like it's in a room with a fan. Do y'all agree with that?
Oh, yeah. The A word, that's bad stuff.
I just think. Go ahead, George.
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm amazed that we have not heard more stories of players not filing proper taxes on the money they're receiving. Now, maybe they're all getting great assistance, great advice, but I don't believe that.
I mean, my tax lady said she was loaded this year with guys with that stuff. They had no clue. They had no clue.
You mean you have to pay taxes?
And What
no,
is that?
It's a free society.
And when you get these universities, these big universities with monies like that, I'll put Tennessee up there. I don't see how the I'll call it the mid majors of the Power Fives, the middle of the class down. I don't know how they're going to continue to try to stay in the game themselves, even though, you know, they're going to feed off of the top echelon. But I do not know how they're going to stay in the game if they don't have the amount of boosters your Oklahomas, your Texas, your Texas A&M, and these guys all have. The Tennessees, it just blows my mind that each and every day, and y'all have touched on this a lot, don't it seem like the landscape changes almost daily?
Yes.
From one entity to another.
Yep.
It's just absurd. And with all this being said, kudos to Murray State racers.
No kidding.
And to do what they've done, competing against all these big schools, and even, you know, we're talking about the baseball, and baseball now's really come on the way it has. But kudos to Murray State. I'm pulling for them. They're going to find out when they get to Omaha how many other people are pulling for them. I think they're going to find out their fan base is going to grow about 4 times by the time they get to Omaha this weekend.
They will absolutely dominate the Omaha in that area fan base because they're always looking for the underdog, and Murray State's the
new
underdog.
Man on the block, new team to get there, and the little underdog. You're right.
Hey, thank you for
find out they got a lot. Their fan base is going to get huge in Omaha. It really is. That's a great show. Good topics. It's unbelievable where this is going, and none of us really know where it's going to go. But I hate it when you start hearing how much government's going to get involved in it.
Yeah.
Talk to you later, George, Kelly, and Billy. See you guys.
See you, brother.
See you, Tony. Let's go to Oscar in Oliver, Tennessee. Where exactly is Oliver?
It's actually going to be Bolivar. It's just outside of Memphis. Bolivar.
Oh, wow, I know exactly where Bolivar is. Wow.
Yeah, you know Bolivar. Bolivar. Billy must have misheard me or something. Well, I got a question. It's a little bit far off from what y'all folks have been talking about today, but I'm, living just outside of Memphis. We love the Grizzlies over here, and naturally, I've been watching the NBA Finals. I want to know who you got tonight. You got the Pacers or the Thunder?
So when that it's tomorrow night, right? Is game 3?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah,
dude, I get my stuff mixed up.
So I will have a play on that tomorrow. But here's two words that ought to give you a hint. Pacer people.
Pacer people.
The PA announcer calls them. All right, Pacer people.
Yeah,
I went to the game there years ago.
Home court advantage.
Yeah. I think it'll be a little different series. OKC has dominated, even though it's only 1-1. I do think, Kelly, I see you shaking your head. Indiana's pretty good.
They're
They're a good team. You don't make the finals if you're a bad team.
No, I just think that I think Oklahoma City's better. But hey, the Pacers are tough. They're mentally tough, and they got guys that make big shots in big moments.
I hope the Pacers win. I would love to see. I mean, could you imagine Halliburton hitting another game winner? I mean, that there would be no playoff run that comes anywhere close to that if he hits another one.
It would really make it a fun series if they got up 2-1. I mean, I think we all believe OKC's the better team, but I don't think the gap is as big as what you saw in game 2. I think Indiana's really talented.
They play similar basketball. They just run at you all the time, try to wear the other team down. That's why it's an interesting matchup. But you know what people say? They say the devil lives in Gary, Indiana. They say the Indiana Pacers have devil magic on their side with all these clutch shots Halliburton's hitting.
So we've gone from Bolivar to Gary, Indiana. Interesting call.
Well, I mean, you know what they say. The devil, there's something going on. There's something going on there. I do believe that.
Thank you for sharing this. Good call.
Of course.
New call, Oscar.
I like Bolivar.
Wow. Didn't expect that. Billy, years ago, I pulled over in Gary, Indiana on the way to Chicago and perhaps stopped at a casino. Called my dad.
I would have never thought that about you, George, ever.
My dad says, "Where are you?" And I said, "Gary, Indiana." And he says, "Get the hell out of there." And I said, "Why?" He goes, "It's the what do they call it? The crime capital of the country."
Yep.
Gary, Indiana.
It's tough up through there. That's for sure.
Anyway, we will wrap this baby up with some good news. News that made you money last night and intends to make you more this evening. This is 94.9, The Fan.
Can't watch the race? We got you.
I can't believe it.
NASCAR lives on the Game Nashville Sports Network. Whether it's 102.5 The Game, 94.9 The Fan, or Sports Talk 830, you can hear it all. Just check theGameNashville.com for the full schedule. NASCAR lives here. Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
Nashville, the semifinals of the PFL World Tournament begin Thursday, June 12th. Former welterweight world champion Jason Jackson takes on rising star the Silverback Thad Gene. Plus 2023 PFL World Champ Jesus Pinedo and Gabriel Braga collide in a highly anticipated trilogy match. Don't miss your chance to see the action live June 12th at Municipal Auditorium in Nashville. Visit pflmma.com/schedule for more info. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 429, has a path to a dignified career. Are you a skilled electrician or lineman? Tired of dead-end, low-paying jobs? Local 429 is accepting applications for highly skilled electricians and linemen and is providing the best training in Middle Tennessee. They are the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 429. Call them at 615-889-4429 or go online to ibew429.org. IBEW Local 429, the best training and training the best.
Give Dad what he really wants this Father's Day with gifts from Electronic Express. We've got the latest tech, hottest grills, and top-of-the-line home entertainment to help you celebrate Father's Day in style. Looking for appliances to help him finish that kitchen project? We've got that too, with free delivery, guaranteed lowest prices, and up to 24 months free financing. Make this Father's Day one he'll remember. Shop in store or online at electronicexpress.com.
Listen on the air.
So don't tell me to chill out.
On the web at thegamenashville.com.
This team has strategically put themselves back in the mix.
Watch us on YouTube or download the Game Nashville app.
You have to make those plays.
Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan. A Cromwell media station.
Final segment on a Tuesday, coming out for Bet of the Day, brought to you by Burt Durham Injury Law. We take a look at what happened last night. It's 2-0 night.
Yeah.
One with the Panthers, and then the Diamondbacks.
We're committed to excellence.
Thank you.
Kelly, we have received your text and are greatly humored by it, even though I can't share it on the air.
No, you cannot.
No, absolutely not. So, Kelly, in our quest to make people money, in other words, to go back to an old promotion, gifts to the people. The people deserve more wins. I'm giving them tonight. Here goes. We're taking the Mets at home against Washington. Why? Because they're better. By the way, Washington, quite a bit better. Got a young outfielder from this area, Robert Hassel Jr., playing very good baseball for them. And they're a hell of a lot better than the Braves, which may not be saying anything right now. But we're going Mets at home to win. Then we're going out west, and we're taking the Arizona Diamondbacks for the second day in a row. It worked last night. Kelly, it'll work tonight. And if it works tonight, we might take it tomorrow.
You're getting to the point where you're betting the White Sox and the A's all the time with the Diamondbacks. You're just riding somebody.
I'm trying to get to 500. I'm trying to give the community the gifts to the people. Yeah.
Yeah. I bet they're readily awaiting this every day.
I'm sure they
I bet
are.
some of them just turn over just to hear your picks, George.
Then call their bookie and go the other way.
That's right.
Kelly, it's always good to have your support. Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.
I've got a question. How's the Blazer, man? Is it new or is it a decade old at least?
Well, not only is it a decade old, but today, we had a button fall off. There's
Billy,
the button.
Billy, it doesn't smell like mothballs, does it?
It actually does.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
Terrible. George, that's terrible.
Yeah, I know it is. But you know what? You got to have a sense of humor when those things
Splurge
happen.
a little bit, man. Splurge a little bit. Go get your new Blazer, big dog.
Yeah, see ya.
See ya.
Let me say this. You talking about people's clothing is the pot calling the kettle black.
No, it's not, because I am very stylish in today's landscape.
Oh, I'm sure you are. See you tomorrow.
See you.
Billy, behave.
I'll try.
This is 94.9, The Fan.